Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Tropin and I'm free and open source software developer, author of Guix Home and RD projects. On this stream series we talk about development tools, practices, share part of my usual working day, and travel towards a sustainable, ethical business. On previous stream series we talked about open technologies, various tips and tricks, about work and different workflows, and so on. It was, more technical rather than social, but the social aspect was also present. And of course, we talked and did a lot of work on nginx and tests, and we will keep working on it today. But also, before starting our actual work and some development, we will talk about the social aspect of our life, not only of the free and open source software, but life in general. Okay, let's talk a little about people. Sometimes it's tempting to think about people in not a very good way, that they are not smart enough, they don't understand obvious things, or they doesn't matter at all. Of course, people can be not very smart sometimes, or maybe really smart but don't understand some obvious things, and this judgment doesn't help a lot, especially if you express it in some way, like in a passive aggression, or maybe in some statements, or something else. And it was a part of me, and I think it's still sometimes happen in my mind, and also I see it sometimes around me, not that much as it was before, but still noticeable. And I would like to say that people affected my life radically. They grew me, they taught me, and many of them wasn't perfect. All of them were not perfect. Some of them were not, PhD, computer science experts or something else. Some of them who really taught me something wasn't even being a good person in the usual sense, but still they really affected my life. Of course, I had a lot of wonderful people in my life who helped me a lot, who taught me a lot of things, who showed me the path, who made me excited about some things. I also met a lot of people who created a foundation for my future life, for my future projects, for interesting events in my life. And a lot of people who I don't know also made a lot of things in my life possible. I'm talking about myself because it's a little easier to talk about something that is tightly related to you than talking about some abstract things. So I talk about my personal experience, but I think it can be. It's very likely that it is similar for you. Maybe in the details it differs, but the overall idea is still the same. And of course, many people influenced me, and I get not only some ideas or inspiration. I also get some support and help from people, and of course, it's not a directional process. It's some kind of loopy process. Someone helped me, I helped someone else. He he expressed some idea that affected the other person, and this person created one more idea and shared it, and I was influenced by this idea, and so on. So it's quite a complex ecosystem, and the influence is, don't go in one direction in oriented graph. It's a lot of cycles, which increases the chances of getting a more interesting ideas, a more good stuff in your life, and we are part of this ecosystem. And the idea I would like to express today that don't be too much judgy, and also do understand how hugely you benefit from this ecosystem, even if some particular person maybe not the nicest person to you ever, but still you live in this ecosystem and benefit from it. So don't forget to contribute back to this ecosystem and to make it better, so everyone becomes happier, more interested in the life, in the some subjects. Do create materials, lections, projects, share ideas, and influence other people. So I would say that's it about this very generic idea about people. And of course, if you do something like creating a business or creating a project or something else, you will be relying on people, so it's still important. It's probably almost most crucial part of any big things that you do in your life. So you won't get something really meaningful without interacting with other people. So keep in mind that people always matter in almost all cases, except the situations where you are in the mountains and here you are alone and nobody can help you. But even in this situation, you're still affected by many peoples who teach to you to survive, to make food, to find the route and so on. So it's always all the questions about our life is tightly related to the people. So don't underestimate the influence of them. Okay, let's get to our work, and let's keep creating a serializer for nginx configuration. Last time we wrote a few tests, and actually we spent some time fixing some stuff related to our tooling for tests. So we didn't accomplish too much. We just wrote a few very simple tests, but today I would like to implement a few functions that will help to create a serializer, and we will keep it doing in a kind of test-driven development way. I will be trying to make a specification of the function, and later to implement the function to conform to this specification. Last time we tried to write a top-level test which tests the serialization itself, but right now I would like to split this big task in a smaller one, so it's a little easier to start doing something. And I would like to start from implementing a function for serializing terms. And this function basically takes a leaf node of our tree, which represents our configuration, and serialize it. For example, here the leaf node will be D, C, B, and A, and it should provide some values. Some probably string valued values, but sometimes it won't be a string, but still in most cases it should be a string that will be concatenated at the end to something more meaningful to the whole configuration. Okay, let's start from enumerating the types of the terms that we will be serializing. And of course, the first one can be a number. Let's see, we have serialized term function, and here it will take a number, and it should produce a string out of it. Of course, we need to define this function. Serialize term here, and let's just make it return the same term. And also I need to evaluate one namespace to make all the stuff work. And now let's eval a namespace with tests, and we will see that there's an error. Okay. And here, serialized term. That's it. And now let's eval one more thing. Unfortunately, my tooling for running tests doesn't load automatically yet, but it will. It will soon, I guess. And here you can see that we have one failed test, and we can see what happened here. We expected a string, but obtained a number, which is okay. Let's first write a few more test cases here for different type of terms. I don't know if you're familiar with defining grammars and so on, but basically we usually called a thing that doesn't expand during the parsing process to be a term. We don't produce any nested values from the number. But if you have a list, this list can be association list, or it can be a list of items, and each of those items can be either list or term. So list can be a term here, and by term we mean something that is already in the finished form or something like that. We have numbers. What else we have? We have actually Booleans, but we'll need to think about it. String here. String here. What I would like to say about strings, probably if we notice a string in our configuration, it should be quoted. So it should not return the string itself, but it should return a quoted string. What else we have? We of course have symbols, like string symbol. Symbol will be just converted to the string. So when we notice a symbol in our way, we will just convert it to the string. Something like this. What else we have? We have booleans. Actually, I don't think that we need to serialize booleans somehow, but okay, let's do the following. We need to throw an exception when we find the boolean, because you know, from my knowledge about nginx configuration and from what I read from the definition of if statement, the boolean type doesn't really exist in the configurations usually. So as a condition, you use a value which is empty string or 0 as a false value, or a result of as operation, which compares or matches by regular expression or checks something else. So here you can see that usually we don't have a boolean value itself. However, we can serialize scheme booleans to something like 0 and 1s to make it possible to use booleans values inside our scheme DSL, but I don't think that it's really necessary. So let's oops. What else? What else I would like to have here? Of course, if we find a list or a vector, it should throw an error. Do I define vectors correctly? Probably yes. And let's evaluate all the tests in the model, and let's rerun the failed tests. Okay, we have 7 failed items here. Interesting. Test error doesn't have test name, or why it doesn't show anything. Test error, test name, error type. We need a way to specify that evaluation should fail. Okay, it's probably should be a true here. Like we expect some error. Nice. Now we have names. It's okay. It looks similar to what we have in test equal, like the error we expect here, the name of the test here, and the expression is here. So it sounds logical and consistent with the rest of Surfy 64. And now you can see that all of them fails, because we don't throw errors in those cases, but we will. Okay, we serialized numbers, strings, symbols. Let's do let's check that test assert is G expression when we serialize G expression. And we also would like to have the same for file likes. Okay, let's revolve this test and let's restart failed tests. Okay, it restarts the old test. Okay, let's we see that our the two tests here are passed because we use identity as a serialized term function right now. So when we face G expression or file like object, it returns the same item and it passes the tests. Very good. We already passing 2 out of 9 tests. Did we forget something else that we need to serialize or treat as a term? Maybe let's make a little more complicated symbol here. Simple. Okay, whatever. It's not a test for nginx serialization, but a test for guile reader about complex symbols. And we will probably use them in more complicated tests, which will be derived from the nginx example configurations. Okay, we have all basic tests, I guess, for now, and now we need to make our function pass them. But we won't be implementing it in the test namespace. We will be referencing a function from rd serializer nginx serialize term, which accepts a term. Of course, here will be good to have I don't know why after completion doesn't work here for models. It's probably because this model is not, known by the REPL yet. But okay. Okay, we have test. We have VC. Now it doesn't fail. I mean, less number of items fails here. But now G-expression and file-like objects are failing here. Very interesting. For true, false, we get errors. For list and vector, we get errors. But why so? Interesting. But let's see what I wrote here in the implementation. For true, false, it should return strings like true and false. Very interesting. Let's see how it works. Okay. We have the stuff still works. Interesting. And serialize term is still unbound. Why so? What the interesting thing is happening here? I evaluated this namespace, and this function should be defined. It is a procedure. Serialize term is a procedure which accepts a term. Okay. And when I pass a true to it, it fails. Very, very interesting. Let's check if it is related to name clashes. Okay, it complains about serialized term here. That makes sense because this function calls serialize nginx term. Nginx term. Okay. We figured it out. And now it complains because, probably it doesn't work. I mean, the namespace doesn't compile. And now it compiles. And this one should work. Let's see. Serialize nginx term. It definitely works. And this one should work. Of course. I misspelled I misspelled the name of the namespace. Okay, that makes sense. And now let's restart our tests, and we see the numbers now passes strings, symbols, expression, file-like objects, but it fails for booleans, for list, and for vector. Okay, let's fix it for booleans first. Let's just delete it, and let's add it here. I would like to read the documentation on match. I'm more interested in the manual. I am interested in this one because, you know, I want to have a few different things to match it. And here will be boolean predicate. We evaluated it, and let's restart the tests. And now we see that it passes the tests. Very cool, very cool. Don't you find it to be a cool thing? Oh, actually, sorry for not responding on IRC. Oh, it's probably a question not related to the stream. Okay, Demis, if you watch me, I will reply to those questions after the stream. Okay, we throw errors for booleans and lists. nginx term should be what we can do. Actually, we can define a more specific rules for G expression and file-like objects, but in all other cases, just throw an exception. How it looks? I think it looks good. We will do something like this. And we'll tell that nginx term should be a non-list value. Boolean number, not boolean. Number, symbol, or G expression. How it automatically wraps the stuff? It doesn't want to break it in a few lines. Actually it does, but you know, it's too much symbols here. And now let's check if it works. Sequence of 0 expressions in form. It doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Probably I missed something in the match syntax. Here we have any expression. Let's just copy this stuff here, and let's just remove this stuff here. Does it work? Yep, it works. Should be a string number or something. Something like this. Let's eval it. Let's rerun the tests. Everything here now works as we expect, but gexpression and file likes doesn't work anymore. Okay, it works for me. We just need to do something like or gexpression, or how we call it, file like this. And let's restart the tests, and now it passes. Now all our asserts, it passes all our asserts. Very good. Dim is a little bit confused about how tree-seater extra load pass got set. And the reason why is because, you know, it don't get set until tree-seater is loaded, and it's only loaded when you require tree-seat, or you open a help buffer for the variable of this package. And in this case, tree-seater is also loaded, tree-seat I mean, and that is why it sets to the correct value. It's not very expected behavior, but you know, there are a lot of things in Emacs Lisp that are not expected. Okay, we implemented serialize nginx term. We wrote a small specification for it in the form of tests. So it looks okay to me. Now we can serialize something more serious. Let's do serialize vector. What it basically does, we have some vector with a few terms inside. It should be terms, because from what I see here, we have parentheses only for conditions in if, and it's mostly it where we have, you know, parentheses as a part of the syntax. So I can guess that we can use vector for this, and for the rest we will be using lists and association lists. So let's start from it because it's simpler, and let's first write a test for it. It will be nginx vectors. It's actually I would call it condition, because I never met parentheses in our other situations in nginx. And beta name will be a condition here, but let's keep it nginx vectors, because, you know, in some case it may be something else. Conditions. Let's keep only two conditions for now. Only two asserts. First one is vector with a few terms. Let's see. Serialize nginx vector. And it will be symbol, string. What else we have? Number and G expression. I know the cool trick how to unquote inside vectors. To unquote inside vectors, we can use quasi-quote before the sharp, so we can unquote inside it. And here will be G expression. And it should work. And as you can see, it works at the bottom of the buffer. Okay, and it will be test equal. And here I will get a list of items, but it will be a little more complicated. And here we go, and face the other issue. But I can work around it with much, I guess. Much using assert and much. If it matches, we will return true, and if it doesn't match, we will return false. And what we would like to match it against. Let's open it. I see that we can define a list, and first one will be a symbol. String 1, 2, 3, and here will be a G expression. Like this. Will it work? Let's see. Okay, use models ice 9. Oh, it has completion. Okay, almost everything is good here, except the absence of serialize nginx vector. Can I return back my underscores here? We use underscores instead of variable names when it doesn't matter. The value of the variable doesn't matter, so we use underscore. It's just a convention. Serialize nginx vector. We do such proxies for the convenience. Okay, we have failing tests. Let's see what fails. Vector with a few terms. Pass true. It passes. But what I would like to have here is nested list nginx okay. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to evaluate the test yet, like this particular test, and run it. But we'll figure out something for it next stream, I guess. Okay, now it shows that it passes nested list and nested vector, but it fails here. Why it passes? Okay, it complains because, variable is not defined, so now all the three tests fails. All three asserts is failing. Failing. Okay, that's good. That's what I expect from it. Now let's implement something. Actually here, when we pattern match, that's probably should be a few more items between between them, like this. This is because when we will be serializing, we will get all the strings and all the items available, and we'll just concatenate them. That is why when we serialize only vector, we need to interpose all the items of the vector with spaces between them, to make them separate and not merged. And of course, it should be strings here, not symbols. Okay, now we can try. We can try to find some vector functions. I guess we will use vector fold. Vector fold. It accepts a function, value, and the vector itself. Let's call it lambda and vector itself. And after vector fold, of course, cons. It should be something like this. Is it? Let's see. Vector fold cons is iterated over each index in all of the vectors, stopping at the end of the shortest. Cons is applied as. Okay, it also has index, state, something like this. Okay, we're creating a list here. We're creating a list here, but we also need to serialize nginx term. And also we need to interpose it with spaces. Okay, we will do it later. Right now we just serialize it. And after we finished, define list of items. We will reverse it. We can reverse it right now, or you can do it later. And also we will interpose it with space. And where interpose is defined, it defined somewhere in guix, because I defined it myself and I know it. So it is in the GNU servers services configuration. Do I want to depend on this namespace or not? I don't know. Probably not. I will just copy this definition and will put it in the utils. Oh, we already have it in the utils. It is exported from the namespace, but it's easier to, to cut this dependency. Guix, not guix, RT serializers utils Let's add it here. Sort lines. Cool. Interpose, how it works. It has a list and grammar. Okay, let's put it like this. It's already not a really readable construction. Don't like it. I don't like that we don't have a built-in thread macro in our scheme code. But let's see how it works. Let's restart our test. It still fails. Serialize nginx vector. Oh, of course it should be vector, not some hard-coded value. Looks good. And now we see. Whoa. It passes to asserts, which are for nested lists and nested vectors, which is not very expected. Actually, it is expected. It is expected. You know, because we call serialize nginx term, and serialize nginx raises an exception. That's right. That's how it should work. It's very good. The only thing that not passing yet is the serialization of the vector itself. Let's see. Okay, I probably know the problem. The problem in the test, because we don't have the string quoted. Now it's quoted. Let's reeval tests, and now it works. We know how to serialize nginx vectors, but we're not finished yet. It should contain an open parenthesis and closing parenthesis here. Like this. And now it will fail again. And now we need to add it to implementation. Cool, let's rerun our failed test, and it still fails. Let's see. Okay, append works on the lists, but I provided exact value. Now it passes all the asserts. Very nice, very good. Very satisfying to see this blue rectangle with a tick. Actually, if I change the color scheme to the, let's see, modus vivendi, modus operandi tinted, for example, and we'll restart our tests, it will become green. And for Vivendi, it's also green. Boom. Cool. Really satisfying. And we already serialized terms and vectors, and the last but not least is lists. And it will be the most complicated one, I guess. Because it, will generate the structures of the configuration file. Okay, let's do it. nginx lists. Here we double tested the G expressions is serialized to G expressions, and we already have it as this test, but it's not a big deal. But for the list we will be more focused on the generating the structure. nginx list. And here the example will be can we have something like this? Like, we have a few, okay, we have a few items, and after that the nested context. A, B, nested context, C, D. And what we expect from it? Oops. Right, okay. What should happen here? We have A, we have space, we have B, like this. We have space, we have, or maybe we have something like this. After that, we will need a few spaces. And we will have C here, space here, D, and something like this. And of course it should be with a new line. I don't know if new line should be a part of semicolon yet. Probably not, but we'll see. It's also not really clear how it should be serialized, but okay, we'll figure it out. And backslash n here. Something like this. Okay, I will take a small break for a minute and we'll be back. We'll be back soon. Okay, I'm back here. What we have heating up our laptop. It seems obvious, and Sway is really consuming our CPU, but okay. This will be the smallest test we written so far, but you know, the most complex one to implement. Okay, we get a list. Let's write some example here so we can, you know, evaluate it and check how it works. We have a list like this. if something A, B, C, D, F, something like this. Okay. Now let's do match. It will be a recursive procedure. And it will be not a list but a config. Okay, we use plurals, so let's keep using them. Config. Okay, we have one fail in assert, and we'll try to get it pass. What we have here? First case will be when we have a list of items. Like we have a list and items here like this. Also, we can have a term, nginx term. So we can just serialize nginx term, and we can have nginx vector. Let's see. We have serialize nginx nginx config, And let's have like 1 2 3 here. I'm doing a fancy predicate. Okay, it should be like this. And if we have string, cool, it works. And we also can define nginx vector. It will be and vector of v, and also vector fold lambda e x. Oh, it's not consistent. Not nice. In vector fold we have index, and also we have accumulating value at the beginning, not at the end, which is not cool. But okay. Like this. Okay, it seems to work somehow. Now we can use those predicates to dispatch our parsing process of our DSL. Okay, we see that it works somehow, but you know, we still probably need to split nginx config and nginx list functions, because nginx config is always a list, and we can't recursively call it with a term and to get result. You know, it won't make sense. So we need some intermediate functions that we will be calling recursively, and that is why it's probably not the best place for this logic. It should be here, I guess. Okay, I think that we can finish for today, because I'm a little bit tired and would like to implement this function with a fresh mind. But we still did a lot of things. We wrote a specification for nginx terms. We implemented the serialization function for nginx terms. We also implemented serialization for nginx vectors or condition statements, I would say, like something that is enclosed in parentheses. And we wrote a test for nginx config, but not yet implemented the function which serializes it appropriately. But it's still here, the config, the test here, so we will be able to check our implementation against it. It's of course not, you know, very detailed test, but still can give us a basic understanding. We can add more asserts and make it more specific, but before doing it, I would like to experiment with serialization and how we will implement it, and after that to write more asserts here, because you know, when you're not sure about serialization format, because you have a few strings, you don't know how much spaces you need for nested items, you don't know if new line should be a part of the string or not. It makes it, you know, a little harder to reason about. Actually, we of course can wrap it in a string append statement to make it independent, to remove those questions from our tests and make our tests more implementation independent. But I will think about it tomorrow, and we will keep working on serialization for nginx configuration tomorrow as well. Okay, as a conclusion for today's talk, I would like to say, want it or not, almost everything in our life is backed by other people. So do respect them, do care about them. And I hope you enjoyed the stream. and I will see you in a bit.